because you went through all this stuff. You said you went through all this training and it wasn't working until you got your 12-year-old involved. So what do you think, what did you learn from that? What was your biggest mistake?
Well, what I realized was that, there's 3 different phases on video creation in YouTube. I mean, in Facebook, you just go there and start talking, and then you start with the hello, how are you? Today is Tuesday and the weather is beautiful. In YouTube, that will kill your video. That's just really something that it will not work. I mean, you have to start in YouTube. You have to say, on this video, I'm going to show you how to do this and this and that. And then you start going into the content. There's no patience in YouTube. So that for me is the most important part. But then what I learned was that real YouTubers have a 3-step process of creating their videos, unlike any other platform. So the 3 phases are planning, execution, and marketing. If you think about it, also a little bit in TikTok, you're required to do something like that, even though you're going to be recording a very short video, because you have to plan a little bit of what you're going to be doing, then you're going to execute, and then you're going to market it. So the same thing applies into YouTube. So the planning, this is where the whole thing really it changes everything. You will never go unprepared, or you will never go you never do it, because of course time is absolutely of the essence. You cannot just ramble or start saying stupid things that are not going to make any sense and people are going to switch off. You have to make sure that you get people hooked, because the most important is that the most important metric in YouTube, it's retention. And we actually saw it on your videos at the beginning. Of course, yes. You remember, I mean, within a matter of seconds, you suddenly lost the entire audience. So that is one of those things that is super important. So in the planning phase, and this is what I think it's just the biggest aha that I got, was that if you were going to be creating a video, you were not going to be creating a video nilly-willy just because you wanted to do a video on something that you thought it was interesting. One of the things that it really impacted me from these guys was, the thing is, you're not your audience. I mean, imagine a 16-year-old telling you, no, you're not your audience. And it's true. How many times we think that we are our audience, and we create content which we think is going to be interesting without really realizing what our real audience is going to be interested in. So there's a tool that I absolutely recommend. It's called Vidiq. And there's a link just below, or if you're listening to it, then you can go to, of course, Vidiq. Anyway, this tool will actually give you all the different keywords that have high search volume and small competition and low competition. So if you start searching on Vidiq, it's going to give you a lot of ideas of what kind of content you should be creating. Don't only create stuff that you possibly think is going to be interesting, but try to figure out what's the search language. Remember, we are still in planning. Okay, that's the important part. So now let's say that we find the specific keywords that have high search volume and low competition. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start to create to get all the different tags that we're going to be requiring for our videos. Now, as possibly you remember in one of the lessons that we were doing, every video requires 20 tags in order for YouTube to figure out how they can spread your content. So imagine that you get every single one of these tags that have high search volume, I mean 10,000 searches at least, with low competition. So now suddenly your video has an audience of 200,000 people. I mean 20 at 10,000, that's 200,000 people, that it already has an audience. So you're not making a video just to see who watches it. You have a specific purpose in time. But now here is the magic of this part of the planning. As soon as you have all those keywords, you have not recorded the video, you're going to include those keywords on the script of your video. So what happens is that you basically mention all these keywords during the video. That's on the execution part. And then the SEO is going to be perfect, because you have now the keywords that you have planned, and now you're going to be also putting them into your video. So then YouTube can confirm that what you're talking about is actually the keywords that you're mentioning in the system. So the algorithm is going to help you. And then as soon as you have created the video for a specific target, now what you need to do is you need to do the marketing. And on the marketing, you have to think of the package. And the example that you have heard me say before is imagine that you have an exact piece of jewelry. One of it is going to be on a generic white box with a blue ribbon, and the other one is going to be on a Tiffany box. Which one is going to make you more excited, even if you do not know what's inside the box? The Tiffany box, right?
Yes, because it has a good brand behind it.
Exactly. So the branding on your video is going to be your thumbnail. Now, the important thing is most people get this story of creating the thumbnail incorrectly. They think that they have to put a picture with a funny face, or they have to put a picture with a silly thing. That doesn't work. If it doesn't really capture the attention of the person, doesn't matter how beautiful your picture is or how silly your face is, it's just not going to get the click. So what you need to do is you have to create some sort of feeling of curiosity. If you don't trigger the curiosity on people, your thumbnail is not going to be clicked. If your thumbnail is not going to be clicked, this is what happens in YouTube. If you don't have a click-through rate of a minimum of 5% within 1 week of your video being on the platform, your video is going to be dumped into the garbage can of YouTube, and it will never be promoted.
The abyss. I call it the abyss. It's in outer space.
So those I think for me were the biggest learning thing. So if you learn how to do your planning, you learn how to do your research of what people are searching for. If you execute your video correctly, that means that you are straight into the point, and you're not doing hums and ahs and doing all these mistakes and making it longer than it should be, and deliver value every single time. And then you know how to do your thumbnails, how to do your titles correctly, how to do your tags correctly. Then YouTube is an incredible tool, incredible. I mean, right now, organically, it is the single best way in how I am actually getting my agenda full of prospects.
Wow, that's awesome. I think it is a great tool to use, and you have to use it in a business perspective, right? Just like if you're selling anything, what does your buyer want? Not what, like you mentioned, what you want to put out there.